The following podcast contains explicit language and adult subject matter suitable for mature audiences only. Listener discretion is advised. Are you looking for joyous and inspiring stories about pregnancy and birth? Full disclosure, you will not be hearing those types of stories here. This true crime podcast will reveal the bizarre, crazy, and sometimes criminal real-life experiences while working at the labour and delivery unit. Our stories share the nurse's point of view. So get ready as we stir things up with the Stirrup.
Everyone, and thank you for joining us for episode 2 of the Stirrup podcast. I'm your host, Joanne Murray, and next to me is my co-producer and brother from the same mother, Kevin Michaels. Say hi, Kevin.
Hi, Kevin.
Yeah, Kevin, that never gets old.
No, it doesn't.
So how are you today, Kevin? It's a new year. I'm excited to start this podcast journey with you.
Yeah, me too. It's been a long time in the making.
Yes, it has. Our goal with this podcast is to provide our fans with at least one episode a week.
That's right, people. We'll try to make it happen, but bear in mind, we do work 9 to 5 during the week.
So true, Kevin. You know, we still have to pay our actual bills.
Yeah.
This is a lot of fun, but we'll do what we can. So let's start today's show off today with our labor room tale of the week.
All right, let's go.
Today's story happens early in my nursing career. It was a slow afternoon on the labor room floor when a patient, for the sake of this podcast, let's just call her Maria.
Okay.
She arrived to our triage area, and she was accompanied by her boyfriend's mother. Maria was a young Hispanic girl who stated she was 8 months pregnant and having vaginal bleeding.
Oh, that sounds dangerous for the baby.
It can be, Kevin, depending on how much bleeding there is. In Maria's case, there was a moderate amount of bleeding, which can be very concerning. Maria did not receive her prenatal care with us, but she did claim to have gotten prenatal care at a clinic not associated with our hospital.
Okay.
She didn't even bring any prenatal records with her, which would include her lab work, her ultrasound results, and we could not reach anyone at her clinic that she had mentioned because it was the weekend, so her clinic was closed. Maria's boyfriend was also incarcerated, so she had family members accompanying her. Why do you find that so funny, Kevin?
I don't know. This is starting off so suspect already.
I mean,
she claims she went to a clinic. I can't get a hold of nobody at this clinic. She got no records with her. Her boyfriend's locked up. I'm like, okay.
Especially at this particular hospital, we had that pretty often.
Okay.
Moms coming in when their baby daddies are incarcerated.
Okay. Rikers Hospital.
So she did come in with her boyfriend's family, and they had just thrown her a baby shower the day before. Maria was brought to our triage area to be evaluated. The triage nurse attempted to listen to the baby's heart rate using a fetal heart rate monitor. Unfortunately, though, the nurse could not hear Maria's baby's heart rate. As a labor room nurse, there is no worse feeling in the world than trying to locate a baby's heart rate and being unable to find it. You start to panic inside, but you can't show your concern outwardly because then the patient would worry as well. So you have to keep your game face on and, do what needs to be done to find this baby's heart rate.
Oh, yeah, I can imagine that would be very scary.
Yes, very scary. And all you labor room nurses out there know what I'm talking about. So A call goes out to the residents that are on our floor to bring a sonogram machine in as soon as possible so that we could locate Maria's baby's heart rate. Because if you can't find the heart rate with our heart rate monitors, then you at least want to be able to visualize the heart rate using an ultrasound machine.
Okay.
Our resident then places the ultrasound machine on Maria's tummy, and the screen is completely black. Normally, the screen should have white and gray images on there that show the baby, just like, the ultrasound machine pictures that you would see.
Right, yeah.
The resident then starts shouting, "She's abrupting."
Abrupting? What does that mean?
Abrupting means that Maria's placenta is separating from her uterine wall, which causes bleeding inside her uterus and can be deadly to both mom and baby.
Yeah, that doesn't sound good at all.
Not at all. It's one of our worst nightmares. The triage nurse, who was very, very experienced nurse, asked the resident if he saw any fetal parts on the screen.
Okay.
His response, though, was very dismissive to this nurse. He stated, "Oh, there's just so much blood. I can't see the baby. We need to get her to the OR stat because she needs a C-section right away."
Okay.
The whole unit then mobilized, and we got Maria ready for surgery. And she was whisked off to the OR for a C-section under general anesthesia because we didn't even have time to place an epidural.
Oh, so meaning they put her to sleep.
Yes, they put her to sleep.
Okay.
And because they did put Maria to sleep, that means that her family members, or I should say her boyfriend's family members, were not allowed to be in the OR with her because they could not emotionally support her if she was asleep.
Right.
So they had to wait outside in the waiting room. That's how things usually go on the labor floor.
Okay.
About 10 minutes after the incision was made, I went to the OR to see how things were going.
Okay.
I made eye contact with the surgical tech who was doing the surgery, assisting in the surgery at the time, because I wanted to know how Maria was doing, how her baby was doing. So he looked up at me with horror in his eyes and shrugged his shoulders.
Oh, man.
I opened the OR door a crack and I said to him, "What's going on?" And he looked at me and said, "Oh, we just sectioned her for having her period."
What? What
Yes.
do you mean?
It turns out Maria was never pregnant. She was bleeding because she got her periods.
Wait, so she wasn't pregnant?
She was not pregnant.
How does that happen?
It turns out Maria has a condition called pseudocyesis, which is a false pregnancy.
Oh, wow. Nah, I want my baby shower gift back.
Stop.
I need my gift back. Thank you.
Yes, I'm sure his family feels the same way too. They probably want all their presents back too. A patient is under belief when they have pseudocyesis that they are expecting a baby and exhibit pregnancy symptoms. Out of 22,000 pregnancies, there are 1 to 6 cases of pseudocyesis. These patients will gain weight, have nausea, their indigestion slows down so that their stomach fills with gas, and their periods are even interrupted. They even feel baby movements. These men and women want a baby so bad, their mind tricks their bodies into believing they are pregnant.
Wait, you said men and women? So you mean men have this too?
Yes, men have this too. Your face says it all. We have had cisgender men sent to the labor room floor claiming they were pregnant. In Marie's case, she was upset that her boyfriend was currently in jail. She probably missed him so much, she wanted to have his baby so badly, she developed this condition.
It's a condition called faking it.
Everyone in his family believed her. Later on, we contacted the clinics that Maria had mentioned she had received her prenatal care, but they had no record of her. Actually, it's been known that these women tend to jump from provider to provider because they keep being told they're not pregnant.
Did she look pregnant?
Yes, she did look pregnant. She was a petite woman, but her stomach size was the size of a 30 to 35 week pregnancy.
Oh, wow.
Maria's mind was somehow able to interrupt her periods so that when it started up again, she got scared and thought she was losing her baby. And like I said earlier, her gases were able to build in her stomach to give her the size of a 35-week abdomen.
Wow. That's crazy.
These patients need to be shown proof via ultrasound that they are not pregnant. This case taught our staff a very valuable lesson, and we used it as a learning tool for future providers. Side note though, when the doctors explained to Maria's boyfriend's family that there was never a baby, they were extremely upset and confused, and they refused to believe us.
Oh, I thought she was going to say they were upset and confused at her.
Well, that too. They were confused by the whole situation.
They didn't believe y'all?
No, their first
Wow.
reaction, though, is to not believe us. I later found out that they were outside on the street in front of the hospital telling anyone who would listen that we stole Maria's baby.
What?
Yes.
They were in that much denial that they think y'all
Yes.
stole the baby.
Yes. I mean, I guess they couldn't believe it. They had just thrown a baby shower the day before for this baby, and now we're telling them there was no baby.
I mean, they should be mad that they spent their money. Don't be
True.
mad at y'all.
Unfortunately, though, Maria will always have a C-section scar now to remind her of this traumatic experience.
Oh, wow.
The women and men that suffer from pseudocyesis need a lot of emotional and psychological support to get them through this trauma.
Wow. That's a crazy story.
I know. And that's it for our labor room tale of the week.
Crazy.
Now it's time for our true crime case of the week, the death of Bonnie Gamboa. I picked this case because it truly depicts how being a pregnant woman can make you extremely vulnerable to the evil forces that are out there. This story takes place in Modesto, California, where another famous case also involving a pregnant woman took place.
Yep. Everybody knows this case, Lacey Peterson.
That's right, Kevin. If I was pregnant and living in Modesto, I would be on high alert.
Oh, man, for real.
Bonnie Gamboa was originally from Arkansas and was the youngest of 11 children.
11.
Her family members described her as angelic and someone that no one could ever possibly dislike. One of her favorite jobs was caring for the elderly in their local nursing home.
Okay.
In 1980, Bonnie met and married Richard Gamboa, a part-time musician that worked in the engineering plant in town. Richard had a reputation of being a controlling husband who required Bonnie to check in frequently. On September 25th, 1980, Bonnie was home alone a few days after giving birth to her newborn baby boy, who she decided to name Richard Jr.
Okay.
Her husband, Richard Sr., had to return to work, Most companies were not so baby friendly in the 80s. Fathers did not get any time off if their wife had a new baby at home.
Well, I'm glad that's changed. Dads matter too.
That's right, thank God. When Bonnie spoke with her husband on the phone earlier that morning, she mentioned to Richard that a baby photographer who had offered her a free photo shoot was there for the previously scheduled appointment.
People, there's no such thing as free photo shoots for your baby, okay?
So true, Kevin.
After you see the cute baby pictures, that's when they hit you for like the $600 photo package fee where they give you everything together.
And as parents, you will fall for it every time. You want to buy every picture in that package.
Yep, they bait you in with the free pictures and then smack you with the package after that.
Richard asked Bonnie to call the veterinarian about their dog who was feeling ill, and he wanted her to give him a call back after she spoke to the doctor. When Richard called that afternoon to check in with Bonnie, there was no answer, which is very unlike Bonnie to do. I mean, she's a new mom, home with her baby, and she's not picking up the phone. Richard became very anxious and rushed home to find an empty house.
Oh, okay.
There was no sign of Bonnie or his baby boy. He feared that their new baby had fallen ill and had to be taken back to the hospital. After failing to locate his wife and baby, Richard contacted the authorities. When police arrived, Richard pointed out that the only things missing from the house, besides Bonnie and the baby, were the baby carrier, diapers, and his buck knife that he left on the table that morning.
The baby carrier, and a buck knife? That's definitely not a good sign.
Not at all. Police then searched the house and found the garden hose running in the backyard. Upon closer inspection, they noticed a large pool of blood-soaked area of the lawn. And it was later confirmed that the blood soaked in that area was Bonnie's blood.
Oh, no.
Detective Richard Brashears from the Modesto Police Department stated, "When you find that much blood, it sends shivers up and down your spine. It's a sign that this situation is not going to turn out okay." Needless to say, authorities brought Richard down to the police station for questioning because, as we all know...
Yes, as we all know, the husband is always suspect number one.
Always suspect number one. Richard was quickly ruled out because his alibi was he was working all morning, and this was corroborated by his boss. Police began to theorize that someone may have planned a home invasion in order to kidnap the baby and possibly sell the child on the black market.
Oh, yeah. History has shown you get a lot of money for a white baby on the black market.
As more time passed, Richard was beside himself with worry. After authorities went to the press for help finding Bonnie and her son, they received a tip from a mother who stated that she also received a call from a photographer offering to take photos of her newborn baby, just like the call Bonnie received. Back then, it was common for photographers to read about baby announcements in the local paper and offer new moms free sessions. When the female photographer showed up at her home, she had no camera in hand and stated she left the camera in the car.
That's suspect.
Very
You're a
suspect.
photographer coming to take baby pictures and you show up with no camera?
No camera.
That should set off alarms and red flags immediately.
The encounter became even stranger when the new mom's neighbor stopped by unexpectedly and started the photographer. She claimed that she had to retrieve her camera from the car and left the house never to return.
Oh, wow. Sounds like she dodged a bullet there.
She dodged a Very large bulb.
Large bullet charges, a missile.
This incident happened a couple of days before Bonnie's disappearance. When authorities heard this, they knew that they were on the right track and started a search for the mysterious dark-haired female photographer. A few days later, another anonymous tip came in from a woman who claimed that she was suspicious of her neighbor, Mary Alice Rye. She told everyone she was having a baby, but never appeared pregnant.
Okay.
She then appeared the same day with a newborn baby.
Wait, what do you mean the same day?
The same day Bonnie disappeared.
Oh,
This woman's
okay.
neighbor, Mary, showed up with a new baby.
With a newborn baby, even though she didn't show any signs of being pregnant.
No signs of being pregnant.
Okay.
Mary Rye, a mother of 3, lived with her boyfriend, Roy Schamberger. He was not the father of any of her 3 children. Detectives thought it was a viable tip and gained access to search Mary's house because she had an outstanding warrant for DUI.
Okay.
While walking through the house, police noticed Mary trying to conceal a baby bottle in the kitchen by throwing a kitchen towel over it. When asked if there was a baby at home, Mary first said no. But then she admitted that she did give birth to her own baby a few days before.
Okay.
Police then asked to see the infant, and after some resistance, she eventually complied. Upon closer inspection of the infant, police noticed that the baby had webbed toes and a fold in its ear, which are all Gamboa family traits.
Webbed toes?
Yes.
And a folded ear?
Yes. There are some genetic anomalies that are inherited and passed down from family member to family member. And in the Gamboa family, they were born with webbed toes and a fold in their ear.
Wow. Okay.
Police confronted Mary with their suspicions, and she denied having anything to do with the disappearance of Bonnie and her baby. She stated that her boyfriend, Roy, really wanted a baby, and to save their relationship, she went to the mall and bought a baby.
Babies R Us?
I guess Babies R Us was having a sale that day.
Babies R Us is selling babies back in the 80s. Not just diapers, I guess.
Mary told Roy she was pregnant months before. Her neighbors stated that Rye, who was 5'1" and 125 pounds, only looked a few months pregnant, or that she looked like she was stuffing pillows in her shirt. I mean, mothers know. Women, women who've been pregnant, they can tell whether or not you're faking it.
Yeah, I could definitely see that.
Since her due date was approaching, she was hatching a plan to kidnap a baby by pretending to be a baby photographer. Mary told Roy that she had given birth to a little boy in her doctor's office who she named Roy Jr.
Wow.
Roy didn't even know that Mary had a tubal ligation after she delivered her 3 kids on her own and was unable to have any more babies. Investigators searched Mary's home and found newspapers with birth announcements of baby boys circled, including baby Gamboa's announcement.
Evidence is stacking up against old Bonnie.
Exactly. Along with the announcement, the Gamboa address was circled in the White Pages phone book. Police also found a large amount of blood in Mary's car trunk. Detectives stated it was so much blood, there's no way anyone could survive that amount of blood loss. While being interrogated by detectives, Mary refused to give up the location of Bonnie's body. Just then, a call came into the station from a man named Harold Duffy. Harold was working near the Gamboa home that day, surveying a peach orchard. Sadly, though, Harold came across Bonnie's partially buried body.
Well, man.
Police believe that after gaining access to the Gamboa house, Mary used the missing buck knife to stab Bonnie 57 times in her backyard, then loaded her body in the car and buried her in the peach orchard, which was about 20 miles away.
She stabbed her 57 times.
And somehow the baby survived.
And the baby,
That's
right. I mean, she
true
must
miracle.
not have stabbed her in the stomach. She probably stabbed her, like, in the upper chest area. But damn, 57 times? That's like a rage killing.
Exactly. I'm not sure where they lived, but I'm astonished that no one heard Bonnie's screams. This all happened at 11 a.m. in their backyard. How is it no one heard a thing? When confronted by police, Rye claimed Bonnie had attacked her when she attempted to pick up baby Richard Jr. She remembered having a physical fight with her, and her next memory is of her driving the baby home to her house. I know. Lying.
So, this Bonnie attacked her, and then she blacked out, and all of a sudden she's driving home with a baby.
You notice whenever a criminal is committing a crime that they don't want to recall, all of a sudden they blacked out.
Yeah, of course they blacked out all of a sudden. Mm-hmm.
In July of 1981, Mary Rye stood trial and was found guilty of 2 counts of kidnapping and 1 count of murder, receiving a sentence of life in prison without the possibility of parole. Court records indicate Rye petitioned the California Court of Appeals for a rehearing, but was denied in 1987.
Good.
Lying bitch.
Yeah, she should be.
As you may imagine, Richard Gamboa was destroyed after the loss of his wife. It was like a piece of him had died along with her. Although Richard did remarry and have another son a year after Bonnie's death, he struggled with constantly being recognized in public for his wife's tragic death. He did join a band where he was known to be an amazing saxophone player. Richard suffered with a constant battle of addiction to alcohol, and I'm sad to say he completed suicide just 8 years after the death of his wife.
Oh, man, that's sad. No. All because of this stupid lady.
Exactly. Now, I know you may be wondering what became of baby Richard Gamboa Jr.
Right, yeah.
Richard was raised by his Aunt Barbara, Bonnie's sister, and her husband. He is now a married father, and he has a little boy and a little girl.
Okay, good.
Richard believes telling his mother's story is important in helping other people to be aware of what kinds of evil is out there in the world.
Wow, yeah, and this lady was definitely evil.
And I will post a picture of Bonnie and baby Richard and Richard Sr. as well on our website. That's it for episode 2 of the Stirrup podcast. So what do you think, Kevin?
Very interesting.
Interesting case, right?
Very interesting. Yeah, both cases are very interesting.
That's true.
with the
Our labor room tale will forever go down in history as one of the craziest stories that's come from my nursing career.
Yeah, definitely. Like they had a whole baby shower and there was no baby. Mm-hmm. And then on the flip side of that, this lady probably had a baby shower too that we don't know about. And then had to show up with a baby later on.
Oh, you mean Mary?
Mary.
Okay.
She probably had a baby shower.
I
said she probably had a baby shower herself, trying to keep the lie alive.
True.
Who knows what she did, And then she was like, now she's behind the 8 ball. So she had to do something. So she just went and stole a baby. But damn, like she stabbed this lady 57 times.
57 times. That takes a lot of anger and
That's a
evil.
lot of anger. And yeah.
And I mean, this is truly a miracle baby to have lived through something like that.
Right.
You know, Bonnie fought for her life of her and her baby, so that's probably why she had it.
She had so many stab wounds.
She had such overkill with the stab wounds because Bonnie was fighting for her, her life and her baby. Thank you for joining us for episode 2 of the Stirrup podcast.
Yes, join us for episode 3, hopefully within a week. And like I said in the beginning of this podcast, we do have 9 to 5s, but we'll try to make it happen.
We'll try our best.
Yes.
Please be safe out there.
Peace.
You can find the Stirrup podcast on all major podcast platforms. Please like and subscribe to our YouTube page and follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. If you're a soon-to-be parent looking for a childbirth education or newborn care class, please check out our website at www.mindbodybabynyc.com.